die, you can move them a little bit, but after a while they become rigor mortis because the ATP your body doesn't make ATP anymore and it doesn't release. Okay, so ATP helps myosin release from the myosin. So this is called ATPase. ATPase is in the myosin cross bridge and converts ATP to ADP and P1. Okay, right there. ATP attaches to the myosin head for it to detach. Now, of course, in this incident, you need to shorten again. So this is called recocking. Recocking. As long as there's acetylcholine, calcium, and ATP, it will occur. This cross-bridging will occur. Okay, this power stroke cross-bridging. So same thing. This is called contraction, where there is shortening of the sarcomere. Okay, again, shortening because it is, the myosin head attaches to the actin and pulling it shorter to the midline. ATP is the only usable form of energy. That's why there's a lot of mitochondria. Okay, again, ATP storage is very low. Here are two mechanisms that how it works. Okay, this is one of them first. Okay, three mechanisms. So creatine phosphate is created when the muscle is resting. ATP and creatine will create creatine phosphate and ADP. So when muscle is at rest, energy in the ATP is used to synthesize creatine phosphate. Now, creatine phosphate helps with muscle contraction, but only for about 15 seconds. When the muscle becomes active, creatine phosphate then returns the energy to ATP molecule. Okay, so this is one of them through creatine phosphate. That's the first 15 seconds of muscle contraction. After the muscle contraction, then your body will start going through glycolysis. Glycolysis, remember this, glycolysis or fermentation. Glycolysis means splitting of the glucose. It is an anaerobic respiration, so there's no oxygen. It only uses glucose to make ATP. So this is very quick, okay, but not as quick as creatine. But the problem with this is that it only produces 2 ATP, and you'll see here 2 ATP, and then it will generate pyruvic acid, will then turn into lactic acid. Everybody knows that when you run so much, you'll have lactic acid. It will create cramps, fatigue. Okay, so this is not a good source of contraction, but it's quick and it will help you get away from danger. Okay, so this is the anaerobic quick burst when you need to quickly do something, a reaction or whatever. Okay, so this only creates 2 ATP. Okay, only a minute or two, and then you will fatigue and cramp. The last resort is using oxygen, aerobic respiration. It is slower. Okay, what you have in the muscle is called myoglobin. Okay, it binds oxygen and stores it. It is slower, but it will create 36 ATP, 36 of them. So you have plenty of energy. Okay, 36 ATP through the electron transport chain in the mitochondria. We're going to learn that later, actually, in Ap2. Fatigue is the loss of ability to contract. Okay, we saw this already. Buildup of lactic acid. So these are three ways that the body, three types of muscle fiber. Okay, so there are slow oxidative, fast oxidative, and fast glycolytic. So slow oxidative means it contracts slow. Okay, it uses oxygen, so it uses aerobic respiration. The fast oxidative, it contracts quickly, and it also uses oxygen. Okay. The slow one, you have less fatigue. As you can imagine, walking slowly in the park, you will still use muscle and use still energy. Fast one is when you training for a marathon or something. Okay. The fast glycolytic. So glycolytic is the one I told you about earlier, like glycolysis. It's anaerobic. Okay, you fatigue very quickly. Okay, some of these, so because of the myoglobin, remember I told you earlier, myoglobin binds to the oxygen. So myoglobin here is red. Okay, there's no myoglobin here, and there's no myoglobin here. So this one is more white color. So it's similar to chicken breast. When you see a chicken, when you eat the chicken breast, it's whitish. Okay, it's fast twitching. So that's why chicken, they can fly, but not long distance. Okay, but the duck breast is slow twitch. So it's a dark meat, and they can fly long distance. Okay, in human, we are more a mixture of both. Yeah, fast and slow, and all kinds. Okay, so that's the first part of the chapter 10. Okay, second part of the chapter 10, a review. The motor nerve comes in, releases acetylcholine, go to the receptor, then releases calcium. Okay, ATP and ADP is necessary. This is the myosin. It will bind to the myofibril site. Okay, this is where troponin is, and then it will pull. Okay, that's how muscle contracts. A twitch is a single contraction of the muscle. Okay, so latent period. Let's see what we need to learn here. Latent period is when the muscle is getting ready to contract. Here's the contraction period. Contracting, remember we talked about, it's called depolarization, D. And here's the repolarization, it needs to recharge. Repolarization. Okay. Different types of movements. Okay. Isotonic is not moving. Concentric is bringing it closer. And eccentric is lengthening the muscle by letting it go. That's eccentric. So one of the exercises is called isometric. Isometric exercise is an isotonic. You just stay right there and not move. Okay. And a lot of the time, the body uses isometric to maintain posture. Recruitment. Strength of the contraction is increased, so it's getting heavier and heavier. Then your body will usually recruit. But usually, there's a lot of variation in number and size of motor. Generally, do not recruit all the unit in the muscle since it's very expensive in terms of ATP. Okay. Tectonic is like a tetanus. Tetanus, I don't know if you know what it is. It's, sometimes you get a rusty nail, you get tetanus, where the muscle cannot relax. Okay, it just sustains the contraction. Okay, And this one is called summation, where the force is getting stronger and stronger. Okay. But there's, you can relax a little and get stronger, relax and get stronger. So this is called summation. And this is called tetanus tectonic. Isometric and tectonic contraction all at the same time. Constant tension produce muscle over a long period of time. Keep your back and legs straight, head upright, stabilize joints. Okay. So that's one of the way the body maintain posture. So remember we talked about cardiac muscles, smooth muscles, and skeletal muscle. So we're going to look into cardiac muscles. Cardiac muscles has something called the intercalated disc. Okay, intercalated disc. So it looks like these guys. So the intercalated disc, before I go on to that, let's review a little bit. Cardiac muscle is striated, but it's only got one nucleus. Okay, the skeletal muscle, it is striated, but it is multinucleated. Okay, so the intercalated disc helps the action potential goes from one area to another. Okay, and it has gap junction for the action potential to pass through. It's got desosome, okay, to anchor them. And one of the things about cardiac muscle, remember this one, it never fatigues. Okay, your heart cannot stop pumping. Smooth muscle, it is spindle shaped. Remember, it is smooth because it's not striated. Okay. Actin and myelin anchor to the, it's called calmodulin. Okay. Calcium is through the sarcoplasmic reticulum in the extracellular fluid, and that's how it contracts. It looks like that. And it also has, remember how the muscle has the nerve ending attached to it? Okay. These guys, varicosity, is called varicosity, with neurotransmitter inside. So sometime there's a stretch, okay, and then it will release these neurotransmitter. And when the neurotransmitter is released, it is then will have an action potential. So here the skeletal muscle, we need to learn some of these anatomy things. It's a lot to memorize, but got to keep repeating it, and you'll understand a lot more. Okay. So the skeletal muscle, so the joints in that chapter, okay, is act as a lever. Okay. So whenever it moves closer, okay, of course this is called contraction, but in the muscle we need to learn origin and insertion. So the origin would be there, inserted right there. So the insertion will move toward the origin. Insertion will move toward the origin. So the origin will be the stationary part, and the insertion is attached to the bone and have the most movements. So we need to memorize some of them. Okay. Agonist is the primary mover. For example, here is